Let's mix all our transformations together and figure out what's going on. Now, we've only got three options. We looked at translations, which is the shape just shifted over, reflections, and rotations. Now, translations are usually easy to spot. It's the reflections and rotations that can be tricky, so let's take our time. Here's the first. All right, so this isn't a translation because the orientation changed from old to new. I'm going to label them real quick. Here's my original, and then here's the new one. So it's either a rotation or it's a reflection. Now, I don't think it's a rotation, and here's why. If I spin this around, this B point is going to be on the right side of the A and the C points, not on the left. So that means this has been a reflection. And specifically, it looks like it's a reflection across this diagonal line. Forgive the sloppiness there of my line. And yes, this looks good because my A is evenly split, C is evenly split, and it just looks right. This looks good to me. So this one is a reflection across the line, and it's the diagonal line that goes down, so that's y equals negative x. For the next, this isn't a translation because it's not the same orientation. It's not a reflection because, as I look at it, it's not flipped up and down. So this must be a rotation. So let's go from the old to the new. I'm just going to use point E, spin it around. Okay, so it's a quarter turn. So it's a rotation of 90 degrees around the origin. And which direction? Well, this is backwards of how a clock goes. So it's counterclockwise. And I'm going to hyphenate that word just because it doesn't all fit on one line. So as we can see, it can be a little bit tricky to tell your reflections apart from your rotations. So just go through it one at a time, see what makes sense, and then make your choice based on that. On number 31 here, I'm going to see, all right, this is just the same shape moved over. That's what a translation is. So from the old to the new. So check the primes. Look at the primes to know which one is your new shape. From the old to the new, we have translated. And then let's follow a point. I'm going to follow point E. There's a little bit of up and a little bit of to the right. So it's 3 units to the right and 3 units up. So there's the description in words. If you want to, you could write it using the arrow notation as well. That always starts with XY, and moving 3 to the right and 3 up would be plus 3s on both that X and that Y. Next up, 32. All right, this isn't a translation because the orientation changed. This looks like a reflection, and it looks like a reflection straight sideways, right, from here to here. And that's in fact what it is. So this is a reflection across, and you can describe it a few different ways. The easiest way is to call it the y-axis. Across the y-axis. You could also call it the line x equals 0. That is the same thing. Okay, 33. It's not a translation. It's not a reflection. This has to be a rotation. And I know it's not a translation because the orientation changed. I know it's not a reflection because these aren't mirror images of each other. There's no line you can draw that'll have that be the same thing, top and bottom, left and right. So let's do from Q to Q prime. So here's my old, here's my new, Q to Q prime. All right, so it's a quarter turn, so a rotation of 90 degrees. It's going this direction. That's the direction a clock goes, so clockwise around the origin. There you have it. Next up, I love translations. They're just so much easier to spot. This is just the black shape, the old, move to the new shape with the primes. but the orientation is the same, so it's just a translation going on. Let's follow the path of, let's say, point G. Point G moves to the left quite a bit, so translate. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units left, and then 1, 2, just counting boxes, 3, 4 boxes down, so 4 units down. There it is in words. You could also describe it using the arrow notation if you wanted to. Arrow notation would look like this. Start with X, Y, and your arrow. We're going to move 5 units to the left. That's an X minus 5. And 4 units down. That's a Y minus 4. Okay, these last two. This one, not a translation because the orientation changed. You might think, could this be a reflection? But to be a reflection, I would want to have, it looks like maybe a diagonal mirror line, but y equals negative x isn't going to work. Because if I do that, my points are not equidistant from the line. Like I would need my E point to be up here. So the E can reflect across to that E prime, and that doesn't happen. This looks more like a rotation. Now, if you're really not sure, what I encourage you to do is what I'm going to do. Just draw in a couple of these circular arcs. So from E to E prime. Okay, so that's half a circle. I should be able to do that with any other point and get a similar half circle going on. So from F to F prime. Now it's bigger because point F is farther away. But yeah, that's still half a circle. So we do indeed here have a rotation. It's a half turn, so 180 degrees. Now, you can specify a direction if you want, but it's if a half turn, you don't have to because you could have gone either way. So it's enough to say just rotate 180 degrees around the origin. And then lastly, when my shape is kind of on top of itself here, this is usually a telltale sign of a reflection. So let's see if I would put my mirror line, and look, I'm putting my mirror line this way. The place where your old shape and your new shape cross each other. So there and there, those are points that have to be on your reflection line. So if you've got two of them, like we had here, it says, hey, you got to draw your reflection line through those 2 points. That's a horizontal line, so it's y equals a number. The height of this line is 1, so there's my reflecting line, y equals 1. So this transformation is a reflection across the line y equals 1. All right, there we have it.